Okie doke.
All right, here we go.
Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You have found your way to Sorting Soup, and we are so happy that you're here. Just so you know, we are live streaming this. So if you do not want your face on the internet, now is a good time to turn off your video. But we would like to see you, especially as we work through these conversations. But again, welcome, 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 everybody. Come on into the kitchen. Let's get this started. We are so glad you are here. Whew. I have been running around all day. This is a busy week. I don't know if you know, but there's something going on this weekend. We got some things going on. And so it's been a little busy. But anyway, so hello, I'm Cecilia. I'm co-facilitator here, and some other of my friends are also with me. I have Beth M. and Dr. Melissa, and I have Laura. She will be our timekeeper and tech support extraordinaire. I believe Beth M. is going to be checking the chat and being our vibe check monitor. And the rest is up for debate. But what I do know is that we have a great crew here. And today we do have a lot of interesting topics. So I just want to jump right in. If I can find my cursor and get this thing going, of course. Woohoo! All right, Sorting Soup. I think I'm gonna. Is this big enough, Beth, my dear?
Uh, yeah.
All right, logistics. Then I'm gonna go to Beth M for logistics.
Okay. So this is a group space for collective processing and analysis of recent events, emotional and analytical processing of difficult material, and we'll be turning awareness into ethical lawful action, harm mitigation plans, support for affected groups, and we will respond with clarity instead of panic. And the group norms are raise your digital hand to contribute to the discussion. That is at the bottom of your screen where the heart react button is. And keep it civil and constructive. If you perceive a problem, propose a solution. And no spamming in the chat. If you put something in once, that should be sufficient. Take breaks or step away if you need to if things get too heavy. And back to you, Cecilia.
Thank you so much. All right, today is our a pretty even split. We will basically finish up our arrival and housekeeping, do a quick rundown of the bare bones basics of what's happening in the world, because there is so much happening in the world. And then we'll go into what you want to talk about, because what is the bare bones does not have to be what we talk about. Then, after all of that, we will go into some brainstorming, brainstorming about what not only what we had initially wanted to discuss, but what you talked about to see what you brought up to see if we can come together to figure out calls to action, different ideas, different ways that we can affect our own communities and our own, our own homes, our own people that we see and interact with every single day. So let's hopefully we'll be able to get through all of that and with a little time to spare at the end for some self-care. But first, we give grace and we step into the bardo. Dr. Melissa.
Hello. The bardo is that space in between what has been and what will come, what we have come from, what we are working towards and what we will create. It is an in-between state of uncertainty and potential and possibility where we rest now. To do this, we will do a brief clearing a space. To do that, you can close your eyes or lower your eyelids. Just take one cleansing breath in through your nose or mouth and out through your mouth, and imagine the energy going through your fingertips, through your toes. And as we take another couple of breaths, breathing naturally, just pay attention to inside this part of your body between your throat and right above your navel, where your felt sense resides and all of the feelings that can come up and bubble up and then shift and change to create the next moment for each of us and for all of us collectively. To create the space here for what we're doing today, we can acknowledge the things that we are already holding within ourselves, and with a nod to each, ask each to step aside to one side or the other for the moment, promising that you can come back to it when it needs to be, whether it's the residue of the day, things in the news, things in your family or friends. Just give a nod to those. Say thank you for being there, or darned, too bad you're there, but ask it to step aside for now. Just breathing in and out and creating more of a space. And as you nod to each one and acknowledge each thing that is sitting within you, you can breathe through the space and create more space so we have more energy to bring to each thing that comes to us. And as you picture the space becoming clearer and clearer, you can even imagine that in your space there's kind of a wallpaper with a certain feel to it. And if you can just peel that wallpaper off and scroll it up and tie it with a ribbon and put it to one side, thanking it for being there and helping to hold your space. And now, as we just breathe in the space, you can take a breath in and out and allow a pleasant feeling of relaxation and wonder to be in that space, allowing your energy to be there, to accumulate, and to have that energy to bring forward to the coming days. And as you breathe through any tension in your body and out, you can then prepare this part of your Bardo moment to take in the new things that we will talk about today, the new and the old, with new ideas and new ways to meet them. And we can then wiggle our fingers and toes and blink our eyes and just prepare and then come in to the moment where we will then sort the soup.
Thank you. When you mentioned the wallpaper, I thought about when I was growing up in Arizona in Phoenix. We had this great house, but they obviously didn't redo my bedroom's closet wallpaper, because it was this like 70s bright yellow and pink flowery wallpaper that I absolutely loved. I loved it. I thought it was the coolest little secret room, crazy psychedelic space. And I was that kid that thought if I slept in my closet, I'd wake up in Narnia. So I have a lot of dreams about that wallpaper. Anyway, okay. Thank you for that imagery
Thank
of
you.
rolling.
And you will end up in Narnia.
Thank you. Rolling that up, that really helped me. Okay, so processing. Here are a few things. Obviously, we still have the US war with Israel and Iran. I put on here the most recent bit of news that I heard. 47 says Iran let 10 oil ships through the Strait of Hormuz as a present to the United States. Y'all, no, okay. Anyway, moving on. Oh, nope. That's not what I meant to do. My bad. Sorry about that. As for the shutdown that we're currently in, we have ICE at the airports. They seem to be standing around, getting paid to stare at TSA agents being overworked and underpaid. Senate GOP launch a probe of the abortion pill makers, and they escalate pressure on the FDA to investigate mifepristone. So they're bypassing women, their doctors altogether, going straight for big pharmaceutical, multi-prong, I believe, attack on women. And then, of course, where are the 47 Epstein files? We just keep getting little bits and pieces of them, but it would be nice to get all of them. The Philly DA threatened to jail ICE agents working at the airport if they broke the law. And this is I put this in here as an example of the broader tensions between the Democratic-led cities and states, for that matter, and this regime, because we will continue to see that type of rhetoric, but also behavior, I believe, especially if the Philly DA backs it up, because if he backs it up, others will follow. Again, these are not obviously the only things that are happening in our country. That is why we call this sorting soup, because we are sorting through the fire hose of information. If there is something that you want to talk about, please do raise your hand, and so we can talk about that instead. But as it stands right now, if you would like anyone to get us started on our conversation. Maria.
Well, I actually have some good news. I think I would consider it good news. I
Okay.
read in two places today. I was purging my emails and I came across, I belong to several cannabis groups, because I very strongly believe in medical marijuana and the use of it. So anyway, the positive things that I came across today was that apparently they are toying with the idea that a certain amount of CBD is going to be able to be subsidized by both Medicare and Medicaid. They are toying with it, but it might even come as quickly as by April 1st, they said.
Holy
That
cow.
seems doubtful, but apparently it's one of the medical marijuana groups I belong to on LinkedIn, and another legal group that I belong to. They both had that in their like newsletters. So I'm like waiting now with bated breath, because I have a mother in her 80s and stuff, and older people tend to not be able to sleep through the night, that kind of thing. And I keep telling my mom, there's all kinds of of issues about destigmatization,
Yeah.
those kinds of things. But anyway, I think in certain, absolutely in certain circumstances, if it's beneficial to people, it comes in pill form, all kind, which that's the way my mom would take it. She refuses to do the gummies.
That's
I've
okay.
tried. So, but anyway, so I just wanted to throw that out there that we can keep our eyes peeled for that. If anyone knows, I mean, this isn't just like elderly people. It can be people who are undergoing chemo treatments, all kinds of different. It's been, in my experience, I have found that people have been able to utilize it for seizure control,
Yes.
autistic. This is kind of a slippery slope, but autistic children seem to be, parents are, that's because they're under 18. There's all kinds of issues with that, but apparently for children with autism, it's, for some of them, it's been a godsend.
Well,
So
I know that now that it's been rescheduled as a Schedule 3, that it will have a lot more scientific research done, which will help
yes,
a great deal.
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. That's one of the things. There's so few studies done, because the scientists are in a catch-22. How
right.
can you research an illegal substance?
Exactly. But
It's
now that they've rescheduled it, that
Hmm.
should change. And this is really good news. If you have a link to that, I would really appreciate you putting that into the chat. That would be
You
great.
know what? I'm so sorry. I don't know how to do that, but I know if you look at if you just Google medical
I
marijuana
will.
or any of that, it should pop up. And that even Dr. Oz apparently
Oh,
has
okay. That's okay.
stated.
I'll
Yeah,
find it.
yeah. Okay,
Okay.
I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, Judith, you're up next.
Okay, yes. This relates mostly to the Iran war, but also to Wall Street. I'm wondering why people still take Trump's pronouncements seriously at all. I mean, there's a lot of rumors that his family and friends were benefiting from his ups and downs on, we're going to have peace soon, and, and now we're going to bomb them and all this. I mean, they say that heavy trading started 15 minutes before he made the announcement. And
Yeah.
today he made one just after trading stopped. Not that I understand Wall Street a lot, but why do people take these pronouncements seriously at all? I mean, they know he's going to change his mind. I know in normal times, what the US president says would have a bearing on things. But this goes up and down. And I mean, they're just following the whims of this toddler in the White House. And I don't understand why it's still taken seriously. Stop it, Kat. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just wondering about that. If anybody has, better information on the workings of Wall Street, I'd love to know what's going on there because I don't understand why they're taking it seriously. But thanks. Yeah, that's all.
No worries. I too wonder why they continue to take him seriously, other than the fact that he's the president of the United States, and we put him in that position. I don't know what else to say. Bruce, you're up next.
Yes, good evening. Well, at least it is here. I don't understand why people take him seriously either.
Right.
And I can't answer for Wall Street, but I can tell you half the things he says, or maybe more than that, I don't believe. I don't have trust in him at all.
Hmm.
But I want to talk about just briefly, well, a couple of things. No business of ice being at airports that are trying to normalize it. There was talk on MS Now today about not only that they're trying to normalize it, but that they may very well show up at the polling places, which apparently our Deputy Attorney General Blanche actually spoke to that conference that's going on today and mentioned that specifically, that ICE agents could show up at polling places. I hope the Democrats are ready to go into court right away to stop it. But the main area I want to talk about are Epstein files.
Ooh,
We have, well, that's on your list.
I know.
And we can't forget about that. Those unfortunate women, they need to get justice. And there's clearly a cover up. We don't know why, whether it's because Trump is in there or because his friends are in there. But they really need to get to the bottom of this. I know Bondi tried to play a trick on the Democrats last week or a week before when they had a closed session, and she wasn't under oath. There was no transcript. She was there to answer questions, and the Democrats asked a couple and then walked out because of the procedure. They still want her to be subpoenaed and to talk, and they were concerned that she would use that as a basis. There's no need for a subpoena. I already answered questions. Well, unfortunately, some of the Republicans who supported the subpoena are now saying, "Oh, they didn't like the Democrats walked out." So we'll see if she shows up for her subpoena, but she better. But Dave Arenberg, I've heard him talk on this with the act, the Epstein Transparency Act, and it doesn't have teeth to it to enforce
Right.
if they're not, abiding by it. But he did make a good point. It probably doesn't have that in there because it may not have passed if they had put teeth in there. But there's talk of some of the House members starting over again with another act which does have teeth in it, and we'll see if it gets passed. But the bottom line is, from what they've seen, a lot of the redactions were improper. They left out redacting names of some of the women, which they were required to do. And yeah, I worked on public records, not under FOIA or not under federal, but I know that something, even though this was a monster job, you have to have quality control. And quality control would have been somebody looking over what's being produced and taking a look to see if it's proper or not. And who knows who, they said they had all these lawyers doing this. Who knows what type of training they had and whether or not there was any quality control. I doubt it. And then they found that certain redactions were improper, hiding people's names that shouldn't have been. Not good at all. And this is something the Justice Department should be ashamed of. They talk about what a great job they did in producing this in transparency. That's BS, and we all know it. And I see that Ori wants to talk about the SAVE Act. I don't see if she's raised her hand, but that's certain. She has. Good. Okay, then I will not go into it. We've talked about it in the coffee and conversation. I will leave that, other than to say that this morning Trump stated again that, we must do away with the filibuster so we can pass the SAVE Act before we move on with anything else. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Constance, you're up next. And then we have Nora.
So, Constance from Arlington Heights, Illinois. I read just recently in the Washington Post that Trump is considering weighing ways to pay TSA officers, to pay just the officers if Senate Democrats and Republicans can't agree to this SAVE Act BS. So I'm sure they haven't said exactly how, but I know Elon Musk has offered to pay for TSA workers. I see the story says just officers, so I don't know if that means the rank and file of TSA. If not, that would be a shame. But Elon Musk has offered to pay TSA whomever during the stalemate. And it's another example of how Trump is just blowing past all the requirements of the guardrails and the norms and the and the laws of Congress, basically. He just thinks that he's treating this country like a corporation, his own corporation, where he can get friends in and do whatever he wants, which is another way of tearing away, wearing away the structure of our government. And I just everything he does is horrendous. On another note, I'm wondering if Sabrina can tell us if what her question was today. I was not able to hear the Ezra and Leah podcast, and I understand her question was asked. So
Yeah, she's getting kind of good at that, isn't she?
yeah, exactly. What, 2 weeks in a row?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure that she will be happy
Yeah.
to share that with us. She is
Great.
coming up after Nora. Nora, you're next.
Hi, Bruce touched on this a little bit, but I'd like to expand on it regarding ICE and Trump's plans to interfere in our elections. And I was listening to Mark Elias,
Mhm.
and I really trust him because he works solely in voting rights. And he's spot on because Trump has attacked him in his posts and whatnot. So he knows he knows Mark knows what he's talking about. But I'm going to go a step back to Georgia because what Mark was saying is Trump is trying all kinds of trial runs. So when it comes to giving a warrant to seize all the ballots in Georgia, they had screwed up and didn't have the right type of warrant for the right person. So then they had to go back to the judge and figure out what they needed, and they got it from that kooky judge in, I don't know, Missouri or something. And then they got it. So they learned this
Right.
is how you do it. And then he was talking about ICE interfering with the polls, but he said ICE being at the airports could also be a trial run because they are learning about crowd control. And he was saying that ICE is asking for identification. They're not roughing anybody up, but they are asking some people to see their identification. And so he was saying, we could see this happen without violence at the polls. Or he was saying things like, what if ICE decided just to be in the vicinity and pull their usual shit about pulling over so-called illegal immigrants
Mhm.
and smashing their windows, closing the roads, blocking the roads, turning their traffic lights down, blocking the parking lots, and prohibiting people to actually get to where they want to go to vote.
Right.
And he also said that they can definitely make the lines longer, and Trump can pull things to do that too. Getting rid of ballot boxes, we know is a possibility. Trump's talked about seizing voting machines, but we really have to keep an eye on what he's trying out because he is seeing what will work and how it will work.
Right.
And he's got a plan, and we don't know all his tricks, but he's got a plan.
I agree. I agree. Just look at Minnesota. Like the normalization process that we're going through there. They flooded the zone with all of the ICE agents, and to see how much white people would deal with. How much would how much would they deal with before they would shut down the city, before
Yep.
people would say no more? And they pushed until they couldn't push anymore. I
Yep.
I agree completely.
Oh,
All right.
one last thing I want to add is I don't know very much about it, but I know there's a Republican sheriff that is trying to get the ballots regarding the vote in California for redistricting. So if somebody has information on that, maybe they could throw it in.
All right. All right. We'll see. All right.
Thanks.
Thanks. Sabrina. What was your question?
Hey, so my question wasn't really my question. I'm not going to take the I'm not going to take
Credit.
Alfeo's credit. Yeah, I'm not going to
Ah,
take credit for that. But Alfeo actually asked in Coffee and Conversation this morning, he wanted to know if the people who were protesting virtually would be added to the total of people who were protesting. So they didn't have a definitive answer, but I know they weren't going to add it into the total like live protest. So maybe they'll mention it as like, and also online kind of thing. I'm hoping.
maybe.
Couple of things. Medical marijuana. I have a child with autism. We did try medical marijuana with him. It was effective in helping with his behavior, and he even started doing some talking and stuff. The problem is that the medical marijuana stuff tastes bad, and it was hard to get him to take it. So we had to I eventually gave up on it because it was just, I was wasting money. It is not cheap to do it. But yes,
Real
it can
quick,
be very
they're
effective.
getting better. Just real quick, the formulas are getting better. I'm just letting you know.
That's good to know because currently my son is on an antipsychotic and he wouldn't probably have to be on that, or maybe even on something else if we didn't have to deal with the fact that we haven't had CBD. So yeah,
Right.
I hope that we get to that point. By the way, Elon Musk can't just pay for TSA unless they break the law, basically. So there are very stringent rules about what civilians can receive from people who are outside the government, especially contractors. So I don't know how he would go about that and not violate tons of code about civilians and what you can and can't give them. Just to give you an example, the most that you can give me as a gift is like $20 twice a year. Yeah, it's very little. Trump is giving info to people, by the way, so that they can hack the stocks. So I just heard about that. Oh God, I can't remember what news reporter it was. But anyway, I did hear about that today. And also, did you guys hear that Trump took secret documents that only like 6 people in the world can look at
Yeah.
and showed it to people on the way to a little golf course? Obviously, none of those people were cleared to look at it. And they said it was business involved. Like he wasn't just bragging. It was for business reasons. So that's nice.
Selling our secrets for
Yeah. Right. And then the last thing, I don't know if any of you saw, did you all see the AI video that Iran did blowing up the Satan instead of Statue of Liberty? I don't know how you guys felt about that video, but I'm going to say it was very effective PR because even I felt a little guilty. I mean, obviously, the idea of a nuclear weapon in America is horrifying, and that was my first response. But then as they continued to show everything that Americans had done, I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling good about being American right now. And I can't believe Iran is the one making me feel guilty.
That's I brought this up this morning that their PR game is just leaving ours in the dust. Like they are heads and tails beyond us. We're showing, games like video games. They are doing that. And
Yeah.
it was just beyond. But anyway,
Yeah.
Thank you,
And I
Spring.
mean, I get, oh, sorry, one more thing. I get why, because I mean, I don't know if you guys know the history of Iran, but both Britain and Americans have interrupted efforts to bring democracy to their country.
Yeah.
Yeah. The most recent one was just 1953. It wasn't even that.
We say that we want to bring democracy to other countries, but more often than not, we're the ones that stop it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Much appreciated. Miss Ori, you are up next.
Hi. Well, Bruce kind of highlighted a little bit about what I wanted to say because when we talk about ICE at the airports, the potential for ICE at the polling booths are also particularly in red states and in the South. But with the SAVE Act, what will happen, and he talked about, eliminating the filibuster to pass the SAVE Act structurally, what that will do is technically inhibit voting rights across the country, especially for women and people of color. And if ICE would be the mandate for people having the right documentation and having the right kind of information with regards to their citizenship and their voting ability. We are facing a time when, and those who don't know me, I'm a retired, used to be a retired civil rights attorney. We're facing a time when in the 50s and 40s, a lot of what from the civil rights movement, particularly as it related to African Americans and women in the South, uh, seems to have been, and I say this to younger people, the lessons learned from what you lose. In fact, Nelson Mandela said it. He used to say, "I never lose. If I don't win, I learn." And that to me is a trademark of what Project 2025 learned from when the Voting Rights Act was passed, when women's rights, even though the ERA didn't pass, but women's rights emerged more powerfully. They learned from that. What
Yeah.
I find critical is that now the Democratic Party, the progressive party of this country, must learn from loss. Because if the SAVE Act passes, then we are structurally fighting what was fought in the 40s. But it's sadly, and Bruce knows this, it will be structurally harder to achieve voting equity now than it was in the 40s and 50s, because technically those laws could be and were addressed judicially. Right now, we have the youngest, most diverse, and most conservative federal courts in the country, and including the youngest and most diverse Supreme Court in this country, and most conservative, ultra conservative Supreme Court in this country. So, not to be a bomber, or I am a bomber, I'm a baby bomber, baby boomer. This is an act we cannot take it for granted. This is serious. It impacts us all. And it is a time when we need to stand up. And again, the blessing of I was born and raised in Chicago and Illinois. I never thought I'd live to see Illinois being a blueprint, and I mean that with the joke, a blueprint of progressiveness. But we must stand up for our neighbors in Wisconsin, Indiana. We must stand up for all in this, because if this passes, then all of what we're talking about with ICE will be, I won't say it will be irrelevant, but they will be determining who gets to vote based upon the SAVE Act. And it will be legal. And that is the threat. So sorry, but
That's okay. We need to hear it. That's the point. And speaking of, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the brainstorming. I'm going to run through these. We don't have to answer them, y'all. These are just right. All right. How do war abroad, shutdowns at home, and attacks on reproductive rights reinforce each other as parts of an authoritarian playbook? What shocking headlines are we starting to scroll past without blinking? And what does that normalization cost us? Who is making money off of these overlapping crises, war, detention, pharma pressure, oil routes, and how can we follow that money? And what can we do about it? What stories are not being told because media attention is consumed by war footage and presidential spectacle? And what can we do about that? How can organizers braid together anti-war, reproductive justice, immigrant rights, and democracy defense efforts into a shared narrative? What does victory look like in each arena? Not just less bad, but a real win. And what has to shift in power or public opinion to get there? And finally, how are people sustaining themselves emotionally while tracking so many overlapping crises? And what practices keep us engaged instead of numb? And I know that's a lot. So we don't have to like take it all, but these are just ideas to get us moving. And keep in mind, we do have a hard stop at 6:30 tonight because we have gun violence prevention following us. So Linda, Ms. Linda, what's up? How you doing? You can unmute.
I am doing okay. I just wanted to address the question regarding what was happening here in California. I'm Linda from Southern California. So I wanted to just address what was happening with our election here and the ballots that have been seized.
Yes.
Those two are tied in together. First of all, the debate for the governor's race was canceled, and it was canceled because of the discrimination against the folks that were running for office that were of color. None of them were invited to the debate. So that's why that debate was canceled. So the five that were going to, yes, Cecilia, I see you.
I'm
The
sorry.
five that were going to be debating, and we have too many. We have too many Democrats running to begin with. There's only two Republicans, and there's about 20 Democrats running, which is really bad for the primary because you know what could happen if
Yeah.
we could end up with just the Republicans running for office. Now, one of those Republicans running for office is also a sheriff, and he is the one that has seized the ballots. There's 656 thousand ballots that have been seized because he's supposed to be investigating fraud. But our attorney general is also on it, and they're supposed to go to court tomorrow because he's filed an appeal, and also there's a litigation going forth simultaneously at the same time. So our California is in flux, and that sheriff's name is Chad Bianco, and he's a piece of work. So yeah, he's one of 47's boys. So I
Yeah.
was wondering, I was like, what is going on with TSA? And so I always go back to Project 2025 and look at their agenda. So what's happening there is, I don't know this person, but his name is Ken Cuccinelli. He was a former deputy for the Secretary of Homeland Security under 47.
Mm-hmm.
So his chapter and his proposal that he authored under the Department of Homeland Security for Project 2025 addressed the dismantling of DHS, and it covers the border security, immigration, cybersecurity, emergency management. His other piece of it dealt with the combine of the CBP, ICE, the UCCS, and other immigration agencies. So he's like authored all this craziness that's going on now. Restrict asylum eligibility, detain more immigrants, and make it easier to deport illegal immigrants. He also proposed the end of DACA, mandate e-verification naturally, refocus FEMA, and prioritize TSA airport screening to make it private. They want to privatize TSA. That was part of it. And end DHS grants completely to states and localities. So that is why TSA is being focused. And if you go to Project, and I don't want to take up your time, but if you go to Project 2025, you will see their proposal that if they get this prioritization, it says that the section projects potential cost savings by prioritizing TSA is 15 to 20% from the existing aviation screening budget. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. So you guys take a deeper dive into this. Whenever you see them do something, just go to Project 2025 because they're using it like a checklist.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Constance, you're up next.
So in relation to the first bullet, how do war abroad, shutdowns at home, and attacks on reproductive rights reinforce each other as part of the authoritarian playbook? Well, that comes out of our understanding of Project 2025, where, first of all, we see a coherence of vision, as they would say, in terms of the destruction of things, of policies and programs that help people, that that and by contrast, that doing the war abroad and shutdowns at home replace things that help people with things that hurt people and destroy the fabric, the kind of moral fabric of the country. And so it's all part of that shock governance that is Project 2025 in spades. And they want the transition to occur quickly. So that's why they flood the zone on all of these things, and to send the signal that opposition is fruitless. So you might as well just succumb and and make the best of it, sort of thing.
They also need it to happen quickly because they bank on the fact that people don't know what's happening. Because once people understand what's happening, people don't like it.
Exactly.
And so they have to go as fast as possible. Oh,
The other
anyway.
thing I would like to say is just a question I'm posing, because someone brought it up, that it's, because the Jack Smith papers were found in the Epstein files for some reason, in federal government files, that suggested he was taking the documents for business reasons. Why would we not think he's doing that now? I mean, one of the first things he did was go over to Saudi Arabia and exchange semiconductors, data and schematics or whatever for crypto money. And that was considered something no president could ever do, because that would put us, on par. They would put them on par with us in a very key area. So there's that. He's always been very loose about keeping secrets, right out in the open. So it seems like he's trying to normalize giving out secrets as well.
For
No
sure.
big deal. No big deal, right? Let's make
Yeah.
a joke about it.
Their whole regime is a joke. And I say that I don't like, they take it as a joke. They joke about it, but yeah, thank you.
Just something to think of, and not believe that, oh, well, that was in 2020 and we're past that now. I think we're still very much, it still should be a concern for us at this point in time.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. All right, Dr. Melissa, you're up next.
Hi, I'm responding to the first one, and I think you have a related question in the 1, 2, 3, probably the fifth one, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, the fifth one. They seem related. How do we create a shared narrative? And I would like to see our country, or us, invest more in journalism, where we have embedded journalists, definitely in the war abroad, which is going to be hard now because I don't know if they can get in with journalists, but they really need to be able to do that. I know there's been work about by Hegseth to keep journalism out, but I think we need people really embedded, and a lot of journalists embedded, just as they were in Vietnam, etc. Same with the shutdowns, same with attacks on reproductive rights, and then as part of that, also illuminating people's stories, like it's in sharing our stories, and sort of connecting all of those things. Because otherwise, it's like, look here, look here, look here, and no one knows where to go. And someone might think, well, I'm pro-life, so there's a shutdown, that's not good. And then war abroad, I don't like war, but it starts to divide people. So if we can get those journalistic approaches to connect war abroad and like journalism is there on the spot giving you the story, and you have people's stories reflected in every corner. I think we have to just shed light on all this.
I agree. I agree. That's fair point. Well made. Thank
Thank
you.
you. How do we get them there? That's the thing.
How do we get them there? And how do we get their stories out in a way because we don't have, the 3 channels that everybody's watching anymore. We don't have that way to get the message out to everybody the same way anymore. So how do we get the message out to people and in a way that they trust? I know that people are trying to build left-wing media, but goodness, it's going to take time. And yeah, anyway, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bruce?
Yes, I was going to address number 4 and the last one. And 4 is what stories are not being told because of media attention consumed by war and the presidential spectacle. Well, we all said when he started the war, I guess the Epstein files will no longer be front page, and that's exactly what's happened. He got that off the front page.
That's true.
And it's still not nearly talked about as much as it was before. And also the issues addressing the American public, how they're hurting, healthcare. You don't hear much about that now. Inflation and affordability. You hear about it in gasoline because that's affected by the war, but you don't hear about it on other things like housing and groceries and so forth. So he's distracting from his weaknesses to put the war on the front page. And that's a shame. And we never should have entered this war. I watched something last night on America at a Crossroads. I actually put the link in the of the recording in the chat this morning, which had to deal with what you see on MS Now anyway, how the whole thing was miscalculated. We never should have entered into it. They don't have a plan. They don't know what they're doing, and we need to get out as fast as we can and suffer, whatever happens, but it's going to get worse. It keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So that's a problem there. And then as to the last one, how are people sustaining themselves emotionally by tracking so many overlapping crises, and what practices keep us engaged instead of numb? Well, for me, I can talk about myself, but also I've heard some people talk here. I like to keep track of what's going on. Trump won. I turned the TV off. I didn't watch the news for 4 years, practically. I knew about what was going on with January 6th and all that, but I couldn't take it. On this time, I campaigned hard for Harris, didn't win, and I said, you know what? I got to keep involved because each one of us has a stake in preserving our democracy and our freedoms and all that goes with it, and Trump is a nightmare. And so for me, I do try to keep track of as much as I can because you need to know what you're up against. And then I want to share it, which I'm able to do with this group and the Coffee and Conversation and a couple of other unhappy happy hour. I think those are the main ones I attend, but also I posted lots on social media, not just my page, but on other progressive social media sites. But I was better at timing earlier because you got to get in there quickly if you're going to get people to look at it. Quickly, I mean shortly after the person posts their original comment.
Yeah.
And I've had some where I've had hundreds of responses, and you get the word out. And that's how I try to keep from being numb, by knowing that I've kept myself engaged. And another thing is I never participated in rallies except in college on, Vietnam, which was what, 50 years ago. And now, for instance, I've started going to the Trump motorcade rallies, and I'm glad I go because they don't get too many people. And he needs to see us. And yes, I have noticed at times that they are looking out the window as they pass by us. And
I'm glad.
And on Saturday, I hope to attend 3 rallies. And I'm older. I don't know I'll make it through the 3, but they are now having, and it just was announced that at least I saw yesterday, a march to Mar-a-Lago at 6 p.m. And I'm considering going to it. It's been posted quite a bit down here. And yeah, we're not going to get that close, but apparently MS Now is going to be on hand. Maybe some of it'll be on Rachel, who knows?
Oh, yeah.
But you got to get the word out. You got to try to grow the movement, and think that even though you might make just a teeny bit of difference, you may make some difference, and that's important. So that's how I keep emotionally with it as best I can, because let's face it, it's a horror living through him.
I agree. I did almost the exact same thing during his first term. I kind of just turned off the news and didn't pay as much attention. I paid attention, but not like I do now. It is nothing like this. But after I did the same, I campaigned for Harris hard, and when she lost, I went dark for a week, and then decided that I needed to do something. And so everything came after that. And we just, I agree. I stay engaged, and we just keep going. I agree. All right, Sabrina, you're up next. Thank you, Bruce.
Hey, so I just wanted to address the how to organizers braid together anti-war, etc. And this is the thing. I think it's not limited to just that, because I think the thing we need to focus on is rights. One of the first things that our founding fathers wrote down was we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And in this day and age, that is not possible without a decent wage. That's not possible if you're going to war for no good reason and costing a fortune to our country and future children and grandchildren, etc. And war is never good. Nobody likes war. Reproductive justice. How do you get a hold of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness if you don't have control of your own body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think we go back to rights. Think about the positive change in this country and what it has been about. Rights. Our country was founded for rights. We go through and civil rights, we abolish slavery, and always it's about rights of the people. Because how do you live a happy life? How do you fulfill your life if you don't have your basic needs met? And part of that is having rights.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could go on forever about our rights, but that'll be enough.
But that's right. You're right. That and it goes back to the very basics. I think that they ignore the basics because they just don't give a flying. I'll be quiet now. Judith, you're up next.
Yeah, taking it back even a little farther than what Sabrina just said, I think it goes back. This is the first line here on your slide. Do you believe that some people are better than others? Okay. Are whites better than blacks? Are men better than women? Are rich people better than non-rich people? And I don't have any solution for that. I mean, all of us are trying our best, to cope with that, but I don't think it's going to be solved for a very long time. And I don't know if it ever has been done in a better way in history. it's just some people, I guess they're just going to always want to be dominating somebody else. And we have to cope with the situation in the era in which we're living. And it's getting harder all the time. So regarding the last one on your slide, the last point, how are people coping? I'm not coping really well. I mean, I stayed engaged in the whole thing, but this war in Iran is really affecting me badly because for the last 20 years I've been on this topic trying to convince people not to, because even in the Bush 2 era, people were agitating for it. The neocons wanted to attack Iran. They wanted to get in. And so I've been, phoning my representatives and going to their offices and everything for like 20 years. I mean, not constantly, obviously, but, the Obama years were a great reprieve for me. I could relax a little bit. And I guess I got too complacent because then Trump happened. But anyway, I was never totally tuned out, but now I'm kind of maxed out. And I really, this helps. Sorting Soup helps. All of the NWSOFA things help. And I'm in a couple other groups too. But I really feel adrift and pretty much, numb and discouraged. So this person isn't doing too well. I don't know. Other people are doing more, but that's where I am. And I don't know what we can do about it all, rights. Yes, that's one thing. And just do you think you're better than somebody else? And obviously narcissists take that to an extreme, he's the only one important, but it's just not a good situation, is that? Yeah. So I'll stop voicing my misery. But anyway, thank you for what you do.
You bring up such a good point, Judith. And here's what I'm going to say to that. It is so important to take a day, like a day a week, to completely just step away from the news. And I know that's hard because you feel like you need to know, what's going on. But for our own well-being, our own mental health, our own emotional stability, it helps to get completely away from even NWSOFA and go and spend a day in a park. And I know that sounds silly. I'm sorry. I know, today I went out and I put up No Kings posters, and I did not enjoy myself. It was hot. It was sweaty. It was gross. But you know what? I was not listening to the news. I was not listening. I was not that. So it was something outside of the daily grind. Having to put those things in, right? And literally scheduling days off where you completely check out of all of this. And Judith, find something like fashion shows or carving wood or something that you enjoy. I don't know if you enjoy either of those two things, but something that you enjoy, Bob Ross, something that you enjoy that your brain can check out. You know what I'm saying? And that you're visually and emotionally can enjoy, but that you don't have to think about too much, and that you can just that is one way to help with the madness. And you do have to literally schedule it, y'all. Force yourself, because I know we all feel like we have to be in the know, in the now, and you don't. Constance, you're up next.
Yeah, in terms of, the sixth one, I guess, what does victory look like in each arena? I would say, first of all, I would like to start with electing better presidents. The fact that this country elected people like George W. Bush and Donald Trump twice when it was clear that they were not up to the job is deeply troubling. And I think the choices have their roots in a kind of a moral decay, maybe too strong a word, but vacancy in a good part of the American people, and who make all their decisions based on how it's going to affect me and nobody else. And in the last election's case, the price of eggs versus everything else. And I just think it smacks of a sort of gleeful ignorance and arrogance that has prevailed in this country for too long. And I'm hoping that the next president will, of course, be an antidote to that, but will also provide us an opportunity to think about, okay, we don't ever want Donald Trump to happen again. So how do we make that not happen? And of course, it has to do with, strengthening our laws, education. My God, education and, developing, creating young Americans young people who will be the future of the country to be critical thinkers and think about not just their wallets when they're voting. What makes for a good decision kind of thing. It should be taught in schools. I have concerns about that as a former teacher. So I think there is a morality issue involved that really must be addressed, I feel, in order for us never to have to go through this again. And the world is expecting that too.
Yeah.
They see us, electing Trump twice as just the greatest exercise in stupidity or cravenness that any country could possibly do.
Yeah.
And they're right. And
Yeah.
they're absolutely right.
We're about to he's about to hit a 70% unapproval or disapproval rating. 70%. That's never happened before in our history.
We got
Which
2.5 more years.
Yeah, I know, right? We haven't even made it to the halfway point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, guys.
This is all our own doing. And we've got to own up to it. And the people who are smarter than the people who elected him have to figure out ways to help those people never, ever put everybody else in this place again. There's a task for you.
I'll add it to the list.
Yeah.
All right, Maria, you're up next. And I'm going to change the slide to the calls to action. These are just 5 of the several that we have, I'm sure, but these are some of our usuals. Come on. All right, Maria,
Are these going to be available to us, these slides somehow? Or they're
yeah.
so good. They're really so good.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do that. I
Yeah.
can I do that? Sure, I can. I can take pictures of them and
All right.
share them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I missed Marta. Were you next? No, Maria. Maria.
Yeah. Hi again. Okay, I was just going to say real quick. I have my good days and bad days too. And when I need to take a break, I do not feel guilty anymore because I can then give sustenance. Anyone who's been a parent knows that if you don't take care of yourself, you can't be there for everybody else. So I learned that a long time ago. So that's one thing. The other thing is, for me, what works, and this is just small, very simple things, are that I have friends that are former Republicans now, friends that are much more conservative than me, way, way more conservative, and even people that I highly suspect voted for Trump that I grew up with and still speak to. But what I do is I sound like a broken record, and I always end with, my point of view, because I'm very far left, and that. So I always end up saying, my point of view is that what I try to vote for and what I want out of society is for everybody to do better, not just me.
Right.
And I always end it with that. Like any discussion that I have with them always ends up like, it isn't about me or you, and that, and I do personalize it because I know their histories, but I'm like, it's about all of us doing better. I want what's better for society at large, not just myself.
Right.
And I think that, you know, it's a small thing, but I have heard, I've now been friends with someone um that I hear him parroting things I said to him 4 years ago. so so I know whatever it is, it's working. And he was a staunch Republican, but he is conservative. He's in the tech industry, and he's quite a bit younger than me. And yet I know I've made inroads to him, and he definitely has voted Democratic now, and that he voted for Kamala, and he voted and I know he's going to vote for the Democrat, whoever it might be. So it does work. It just takes like
Hi.
eating away at them. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's my spiel.
Not just persistence is what I mean. Like that. Thank you. Thank you so much, Maria. That's wonderful. All right, Marta, you're up next.
Yeah, I think I'm addressing about how not to stay discouraged
Mm-hmm.
and kind of failing a little bit right now. I've been it's been a personally a tough month. My father-in-law just passed away a couple days ago, and my mother-in-law had been in the hospital before that, and blah blah. But even before that, I well, with it, I guess I have felt like some of the things I was trying to do, like court watching, whenever it's getting harder to say, this is the day I'm going to do the thing. And I guess I've been feeling down about going with kind of a half effort, like, okay, I'm going to make calls today, not doing as much. But when I listened to Judith, it actually helped me because I have a lot of respect for her intellect and her lifelong commitment to certain issues. And I suddenly thought about a factoid about dolphins. I think it's dolphins. The female dolphins, when they swim long distances, and I think it's dolphins, not whales. It could be whales. The mothers sleep with half their brain, and then they put the babies in between the mothers when they're traveling, and the moms sleep with half a brain. To the baby side's asleep, the awake side is the outer side. So I'm just kind of telling myself, like, well, maybe Judith and I right now are sort of swimming along with half asleep and half outer, but it's better than nothing. And even when I'm down, I feel like for all for all of us, it comes down to, like, if there's a win, I want to feel like I did my best, even if
Yeah.
it wasn't much. I did my best. And if there's a loss, I don't want to feel like I was passive and I just let this happen. So to me, motivation sometimes comes really from who I want to be. When I can't see it in our country, I try to find it in me. And there are people on here who've been lifelong followers of issues. And I would call myself someone who right now, if this wasn't going on, I'd be deep into literacy. I would be, I really cared about what was happening with climate change in particular issues, and trusting the government to kind of rub along. I did not
Right.
think this was an area I would have to spend so much of myself paying attention to. So I feel like I'm at a loss because I don't know if anyone else is like this. It takes me multiple times to remember a name. It takes me oftentimes with faces. It can take me more than once or twice to remember a face. I'm not one of those people who never forgets a face. I can forget a face. So right now really feels like starting on the back foot. So I guess I just have to feel like, really, what are my choices? This is who I am. These are my talents or lack of, and I just have to choose what I'm going to do with them.
Thank you so much for just being so vulnerable with that. Y'all, this is what okay. Thank you, Marta, for just sharing all of that. And I saw Judith's face. She doesn't think that highly of herself, and so but of course, Judith, we all think very highly of you. So I don't know what you were thinking there. But anyway, yes, that is exactly the just in taking care and in trying. I think this is the point, right? They want to throw everything at us so that we can't focus on what we want to focus on, because I would be more interested in female reproductive care. I would be focusing hardcore on women's rights and only women's rights, and I wouldn't care about all this other noise. And I would only be, and what could I do if I were only focused on that and I didn't have to worry about all this other stuff? It's part of their strategy. And yeah, yeah. Dr. Melissa, you're up next.
First of all, Marta, I love that phrase, expecting the government to just rub along. That I can totally identify with that.
Yes.
Because I think that's what I expected also. It is not rubbing along now. So given that we don't have a government that is supporting critical thinking, or an educational system anymore that seems to support that in some places anyway, I think we need computer games and algorithms and AI that will be it. And I cannot create computer games, so whoever does that would be great for someone to create them, where it rewards critical thinking. And the more critically you think, the better you do. This is true in some businesses. Someone was telling me this the other day, that their business in a certain industry rewards a very sensible way of thinking about probabilities. Like, what's the likelihood of that being true versus that? We don't have that now in our populace. I mean, I think we're doing pretty well ourselves, and coffee and conversation. If something seems unlikely, someone says, well, check that out, fact check that, so I think we need video games that do that, and algorithms and AI programs you can plug in critical thinking and it gives you something like that. Makes sense, that doesn't make sense.
You know what's
And
so real quickly, what's
yeah.
so strange about what you say about that? Video games used to be like that. Video games used to have critical thinking, where you had, like Zelda, where you had to figure out the map, and you had to go through the levels, and there were these secret levels, and you went through it and you memorized it and you figured it out. Now it's completely different. Now it's all about keeping you addicted. Now it's all about keeping you on it. It's completely, there's a completely different reason for being in the game.
I see. You're enslaved to it rather than you are operating it.
Yes. Before, you were literally trying to beat the game. Like, the idea was to finish the game. Now they never want you to finish the game. They want you to be in it forever. And anyway, sorry, go on.
We need empowerment. And the other point is art, music, writing, etc. Of course. And by the way, if you want to see that, I mentioned earlier that there was a really great 30th anniversary of Democracy Now! And then you can look it up, I'm pretty sure, on YouTube. It was wonderful. Angela Davis was there, Michael Stipes, Bruce Springsteen sang his song. He's on a tour now, starting in Minneapolis. A lot of really well-known singers. It's so, and also I think someone read some poetry. The woman who does the vagina monologue, she read a passage, and it was just really wonderful and worth seeing. But we need more of that. And my husband, I have a friend who does. She's an artist on Mount Desert Island, and she does sculptures, and she's going to do a sculpture of a little boy blowing a bubble. And she has done her art in concert with issues before. And I said, oh, you should make that a little boy blowing a bubble at King's rally. And she said, absolutely. So if we get that kind of innocent but potent art out there, and just make it really accessible to the public and put it out there. Just like those guys who do the temporary statues in front of the White House.
Those are fantastic.
Those are
Yes.
great. Okay, so that's my point. I think creativity, let's get that all out there. And that's a good point you made about Cecile, about the what's happened to video games. I mean, somebody's got to switch it around so that it rewards critical thinking.
I agree completely. And I thought that was, I just saw a video about that the other day too, about how it's completely different now. And the whole point of, because they used to, like, the whole panic about video games originally, where, you know, that they'll rot your brain and all that stuff. It wasn't happening originally. Originally, the games that came out in the beginning, they didn't do all the stuff that people were freaking out about. Now they do. Now they have figured out how to do all of to ruin your attention and all of that. Like, it's just anyway,
Yeah,
sorry.
who
Susan.
benefits from our mindlessness? That's
Yes.
the question.
Good question. Susan, you're up next. And I think we will end with you after I will finish the calls to action. Here, do I need to? There we go. Does that help? Yes. Oh,
Myself
almost. There we go.
All right, got it. Okay, just a cute cartoon for you guys. The 50s thing showing the kid looking at his dad, and the dad's in the recliner. And the kid says to the dad, I think when I grow up, I want to be a mobster. Okay, I want to be an organized crime. And dad looks back at him and says, government or public? Never mind.
No, I got that. I got it.
And I got it wrong, and I can't pull it back up to read it. But it's a government or private. That's what it is.
Government or private. Organized crime.
I want to be an organized crime. A crime boss.
Well, it's a good question, especially nowadays. I mean, they used to, you know, keep it on the DL.
But I like Dad's answer.
Yeah. Well,
Private
because
or government.
I mean,
anyway, I thought it would be a laugh.
Y'all, they used to keep it on the DL. Now it's just out there in the open. Now it's just wide. I mean, anyway, all right. So the calls to action from this event.
Okay, I'm going.
Always make your calls. Always make the 3 to 5 calls. Call your senators. Call your House rep. Just pick an issue. We've got plenty. Try to connect dots in public. Okay, when you are posting or talking with your friends, name at least the 2 of the links we talked about: the war, the oil, abortion attacks, so people can see how this is all coming together. Because we talk about it all the time, y'all. We talk about how all this comes together, but people in our lives may not be. So when you talk to, just bring it up. You don't have to go in depth. You can just mention it. Like, oh, did you realize that this, and this are connected? Maybe they'll want to go in depth. Also, boost trusted explainers. Find your trusted resources and boost them. Aaron Parnas just had a baby. Y'all, he went an entire 10 months without telling us that his wife was pregnant because he was afraid for their safety. 10 months, did not mention a single thing about his wife being pregnant. But they had the baby. Everything's good. They have a daughter. And what I'm trying to say is find a podcast, a live stream that is explaining why all of these things are connected, not just what happened. Add 1 or 2 of your own sentences and be able to share that with your friends so that you always have it, so that it's there. Here you go. I apologize for not having that for you right now. I have a few to choose from. I just didn't have that. And then pair action with care. For every news heavy session that we have, and we have so many, obviously, commit to one self-care practice, y'all. And I mean it. Okay. I mean it. Take care of yourselves, because like someone said today, if you don't put your own oxygen, if you don't take care of yourself first, We cannot take care of those around us. And that will always, if we go down, there's nobody left standing to take care. All right. And then join or strengthen a local hub. Plug into a group that already braids these issues, a local Indivisible, or a different group. Even if you're already in an Indivisible in your area, find a different group to maybe plug into, and then connect the two. See if you can network. See if you can get different groups to work together. Y'all, we need to be working together. We are not going to be able to defeat this beast on our own. It's just not going to happen that way. So I just ask the question, how can we help each other tell this shared story? And the sharing our stories, that's a big one. If you find somebody who has a story that needs to be shared, come to me, come to Dr. Chris, come to Sabrina. Sharing our stories. We need to tell those stories of people who've been affected by this regime, and these types of Medicare cuts, Medicaid cuts, SNAP cuts, anything that's happening to those type of individuals. Those are the stories that need to be told. In the VA, veterans, any type of, if you come across anyone that might be struggling or has struggled in the past, or even people who had it better before, like they could tell us things were so much better before, and now this is what I'm dealing with. Like those type of, maybe that would be something that we can deal with. Just talk to people is what I'm getting at. Don't be afraid to talk to people. All right. And finally, getting there. I'm getting there. There we go. If you have any questions, nwsofa.soup@gmail.com for questions, suggestions, or offers of assistance. Y'all, feel free. Give us a contact. Let us know. Also, our next meeting will be this Sunday at 4 p.m. We have our next chapter, I believe, is chapter 4 of Witches, Whores, and Rebels, A Feminist Look at Patriarchal Capitalism. Are we on chapter 4? Chapter 5? I'm not sure. And then we will, if we don't see you then, we hopefully might see you at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday for coffee and conversation. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. we have the Happy Unhappy Hour at the same link. Otherwise, we will see you sorting soup next Thursday at 5 p.m. Central. Whew, y'all, that was fantastic. That was lovely.